Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that a small, brown coin hiding in your kitchen drawer could be worth more than your house. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet, for one particular coin, the 1942 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, that unbelievable moment has become someone's reality. And tonight, you're about to find out why an ordinary-looking cent from World War II has shocked collectors, resurfaced like buried treasure, and is now commanding prices reaching as high as $942,000, with certain rare variations rumored to touch the $1 million mark. Before this video ends, you'll understand exactly what makes this coin so powerful, and you might even realize you have one sitting silently in your possession. But before we reach that final breakthrough, let's begin with the truth most people never hear. Wealth isn't always built with the loud, shiny things in life. Sometimes it comes disguised in copper. The year was 1942. The world was deep in war. America was rationing metal, tightening industrial output, and preparing for one of the largest military mobilizations in history. Pennies were still made of copper, but the country was bracing for change. Tens of millions of people handled these coins daily. Factory workers, soldiers' families, farmers, children saving for candy. What no one knew was that among the river of pennies passing through American hands, a select few would someday rise above the rest, becoming rare treasures generations later. It's strange, isn't it? How something so ordinary can hold extraordinary value decades later. But rarity is created by time, and by secrets hiding in plain sight. And the 1942 Lincoln penny has more than one of those secrets. People often assume that old coins are automatically valuable. Not true. Age alone means nothing. Rarity, condition, minting anomalies, and historical demand are the real engines of value. So what makes the 1942 no-mint Mark penny different? First, it was minted in Philadelphia, the largest producer of coins at the time. Yet, within that massive production, a small number of pennies were struck with unusual characteristics, planchet variations, die misalignments, and subtle imperfections that collectors today aggressively hunt. These anomalies, combined with pristine condition, are exactly what turn an everyday penny into a 5- or 6-figure asset. And in some cases, far more. Now, here's where the excitement kicks in. When a 1942 Lincoln penny appears in near-perfect condition, especially in MS-66, MS-67, or with a rare die variety, collectors know they're looking at something extremely scarce. These high-grade survivors were the few that somehow avoided decades of pockets, counters, friction, humidity, and human touch. They practically time-traveled. And because so few of them exist, the competition to own one pushes prices to stunning levels. That's how we reach today's market value of $942,000 for a top-tier example. Yes, $942,000 for one penny. Still think digging through old change jars is a waste of time. But stay with me because the story only gets richer and we're just getting warmed up. While the public braced for wartime material changes, the mint produced experimental strikes behind closed doors. Test metals, adjusted dies, unusual compositions. And yes, a few of these experimental pieces leaked into circulation. Rumor has it that a handful of 1942 pennies were struck on transitional planchets. Strange metallic mixes that weren't supposed to be used until the emergency steel penny of 1943. Imagine owning one of those error coins today. That kind of rarity doesn't just add value, it detonates it. But here's the part that creates both excitement and fear. Most people who unknowingly own these high-value 1942 pennies spent them decades ago for candy, bus fare, or school lunches. They vanished before anyone realized their worth. Every time a collector or estate seller uncovers a new high-grade example, the market reacts. Collectors get more aggressive. Prices go higher. And all it takes is one major auction to push this coin from the $942,000 level to a full $1 million or more. If that happens, and industry experts believe it will, the 1942 penny could become one of the highest valued Lincoln cents in history. Which brings us to a question worth asking. Where is yours? Maybe it's in a forgotten coin album, something your grandfather left behind. Maybe it's in a small jar sitting on the top shelf of your closet. Maybe, and this is my personal favorite, maybe it's been rattling around in your junk drawer next to expired coupons and a screwdriver that doesn't fit anything you own. Funny how wealth hides in the most inconvenient places. But let's bring this back to you, and why this coin matters now more than ever. The truth is, we're entering a new era of coin collecting. The market isn't shrinking, it's exploding. More investors are entering the world of rare coins as a way to store value, diversify wealth, and hedge against inflation. And when demand rises while supply stays permanently limited, prices surge. That's exactly what you're seeing with high-grade 1942 pennies. They aren't just collectible. They're becoming investment-grade assets. That shift creates opportunity for people like you. People who have old coins tucked away, people looking for a chance to elevate their financial future, people who understand that wealth favors those who move before everyone else realizes what's happening. But before you rush to list your coins online or hand them to the first dealer who smiles at you, here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. Not every valuable 1942 penny announces itself. Some look ordinary. Some hide micro-errors invisible to the untrained eye. And some, well, let's just say several life-changing finds happened only after someone decided to take a closer look. The biggest mistake you can make is assuming your penny is worthless. The second biggest mistake? Selling it too quickly. So how do you know what you really have? Start with condition. If your penny has sharp details, strong luster, crisp lettering, and minimal wear, you might be holding something extraordinary. If it has obvious doubling, misaligned strikes, off-center designs, or anything unusual, you might have stumbled upon one of the rarest variants. And if you're unsure, that might actually be a good sign. Uncertainty means possibility. Collectors love to say that the rarest coins aren't found. They're recognized. So picture this. A month from now, you're at an auction watching bidders fight over a coin you once nearly tossed aside. The numbers climb. 20,000 to 50,000, 100,000. And suddenly it crosses 500,000. Your hands are shaking. You pretend to stay calm because, well, it looks cool on TV. But inside, your heart is racing. And then the hammer drops. The final price flashes. $942,000. Almost $1 million. And your life changes in an instant. It's not a fantasy. It has already happened. And with coins like the 1942 penny, it is still happening. You're not just learning about a rare coin today. You're learning about an opportunity, one that rewards curiosity, attention, and the simple act of looking closer. Wealth isn't always about working harder. Sometimes it's about discovering what you've already been holding. And as we reach the end of this journey, here's the final question you'll take with you when this video ends. Is your $1 million penny out there, waiting for you to find it? Or worse, have you already held it once and let it slip through your fingers? Don't leave that question unanswered. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and discovering a single penny. A penny so rare, so unexpected, that it has the power to rewrite your financial story forever. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet this is exactly what's happening to people across the country. Everyday Americans finding life-changing wealth hiding in plain sight. And today, we're talking about one coin that continues to shock collectors, investors, and auction houses alike. The 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. A coin that has reached a staggering market value of $981,000, with expert projections pushing future sales into the millions. Yes, millions, for a penny. But before you dismiss it as a fantasy, keep watching. Because the truth behind this coin, and how you could own one without even realizing it, might be the most important financial discovery you make this year. And trust me, you don't want to be the person who finds out too late. The story begins in a year many Americans remember vividly. 1981. A year of economic tension, rising inflation, shifting industries, and cultural change. It was also one of the final years the United States Mint produced the Lincoln cent in its iconic copper composition before switching to the zinc core we know today. Millions of pennies circulated, but within that massive production run, something unusual happened. A small number of 1,981 pennies, coins without any mint mark, were struck with unique characteristics, making them dramatically more valuable than ordinary cents. Some were struck with remarkable precision, others with rare doubling, and others preserved in conditions so pristine that experts describe them as freak occurrences in the minting world. These coins slipped quietly into circulation. They passed from hand to hand, grocery store to gas pump, pocket to piggy bank. No one suspected they carried hidden potential. No one imagined that one day they would become the subject of fierce bidding wars, with collectors battling to secure a piece of American minting history. And you might be wondering, how does a coin like this go from pocket change to almost $1 million? The answer is both simple and incredibly strategic. Collectors value rarity, condition, and error variety. The 1981 no-mint mark penny combines all three in a perfect storm. The majority were used, tossed around, and scratched beyond recognition. But the few that survived in stunning, untouched quality skyrocketed in price. And when the first high-grade example hit the auction block, bidders reacted with a mixture of shock, curiosity, and raw excitement. That sale set the tone. A new benchmark was established. And every year since, demand has only risen. Now here's the part that will make you sit forward a little. Many of the highest value 1981 pennies were found not by collectors, not by professional dealers, but by regular people, people who simply paid attention. People who took a moment to look at the coins in their hands. People who got curious. The kind of person who might be watching this video right now that if you're thinking, there's no way a penny in my home is worth nearly $1 million. Well, ask yourself this. When was the last time you actually checked? We spend so much of our lives chasing wealth in complicated ways. Investments, side businesses, long work hours. Yet sometimes, the wealth we're looking for has been sitting quietly in a small drawer, waiting for someone to recognize it. But the path to discovering a valuable 1981 penny isn't just luck. It's about understanding what makes these coins special. For example, some 1981 no-mint mark pennies exhibit sharp strike details. Look at Lincoln's bow tie, the clarity of the lettering, and the definition of the memorial on the reverse. Others show doubling on the date or lettering, a phenomenon collectors absolutely adore. And then, of course, there's condition. Coins graded at the highest levels, MS67, MS68, and above, are nearly impossible to find. They represent the absolute peak of preservation, and they're the ones that can command 6 figures or more. Imagine holding a coin so perfect that experts describe it as museum quality. Imagine being the person who owns that one extraordinary example everyone else is searching for. The excitement, the disbelief, the rush of knowing your financial future just changed. It happens more often than you think. The only question is, will you be next? And here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. As interest in rare pennies has exploded over the past decade, the competition to find them has intensified. Collectors are scanning through bags, boxes, and entire collections. Auction houses are preparing for record-breaking sales. And coin grading companies are receiving submissions at levels they haven't seen in years. Why? Because we are in the middle of a modern treasure hunt. And the window of opportunity is shrinking. Every time a rare 1981 penny is found and certified, the remaining unknown supply gets smaller. Every time a collector secures one for their portfolio, the value of the next example goes up. And every time someone sells a high-grade penny for 6 or 7 figures, more people enter the search, hoping to capture that life-changing moment. So if you feel even a hint of curiosity right now, good. That curiosity is how discoveries are made. But stay with me because we're just getting to the part most people never hear. Some of the rarest 1981 pennies have been found in coin rolls from banks. Some surfaced from old family coin jars that hadn't been opened in decades. A few came from inherited estates where no one realized the true value until a professional appraisal revealed the surprise. And one of the most shocking finds came from an old dresser drawer in a home scheduled for renovation. One penny, one stroke of awareness, one moment that transformed an ordinary day into an extraordinary story. You might be thinking, okay, but how do I know what to look for? How do I avoid missing my chance? Start with the basics. Look for a 1981 penny with no mint mark beneath the date. Then check the condition: shine, sharp details, clean fields, minimal scratches. Compare it to online examples of high-grade coins. If something looks unusual or exceptionally well-preserved, don't ignore that instinct. And if you're unsure, a professional grading service can turn uncertainty into certainty. Now here's a little humor to keep things real. If you find yourself standing in the kitchen examining pennies under bright lights while your family wonders if you've finally joined a treasure hunting reality show, just tell them you're building the foundation for generational wealth. You're not wrong. But back to the seriousness of opportunity, because opportunities like this don't stay open forever. The market is heating up. Investors who once focused on real estate and precious metals are now turning to rare coins for diversification and high return potential. And that attention is pushing values higher than ever. If you wait too long, the window narrows. If you act now, you position yourself ahead of the crowd. People often ask, why pennies? Why not something more glamorous? But here's the truth. Pennies are the perfect stealth investment. They're overlooked. They're underestimated. They're everywhere. And that's exactly why the upside is so massive. When the world ignores something, the people who pay attention win. Sometimes quietly, sometimes dramatically. As we come toward the end of this journey, let me pose one final question. If a single penny could change your financial future, would you take the time to look for it? Or would you let it slip through your fingers, unnoticed like so many opportunities do? Because hidden wealth only stays hidden until the day someone pays attention. The 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a reminder that life-changing potential can appear in the simplest places. It's a symbol of curiosity, awareness, and bold action. And it's a chance, maybe your chance, to step into a wealthier, more empowered chapter of your life. So don't wait. Check your coins, check your collections, check the places you haven't checked in years. Somewhere out there, another rare 1981 penny is waiting to be discovered. Maybe it's in a roll at your bank. Maybe it's in a box you packed away a decade ago. Or maybe, just maybe, it's already in your home, quietly holding the key to an entirely new lifestyle. And when the next record-breaking sale hits the headlines, and you'll want to be the person who didn't just watch the story, but lived it. Imagine opening an old jar of pennies and realizing one of them could pay off your mortgage, wipe out your debts, and hand you the kind of financial freedom most people only dream about. It sounds unreal, almost like something that happens to someone else. Until it doesn't. Because today we're uncovering the shocking truth about the 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. A tiny copper-colored coin that has quietly reached a staggering market value of up to $988,000. And in the rarest cases, even climbed into the millions. Yes, millions. And one of these coins might already be sitting inside your home right now. Before you brush off that possibility, consider this. People throw away fortunes every single day without realizing it. They spend their lives chasing big opportunities while literal wealth slips through their fingers disguised as loose change. But you're here watching this because deep down you know that opportunity rarely knocks twice. Sometimes it shows up as a small penny with Abraham Lincoln's profile and no mint mark. The story of this coin doesn't begin with luck. It begins with scarcity and quiet rarity, the kind only true collectors deeply understand. The 1988 no-mint Mark penny was created during a time when the U.S. Mint was transitioning designs, tightening production, and unknowingly generating small groups of coins with microscopic variations, misalignments, and die changes that would later become extremely valuable. Some of these varieties are so subtle, you could stare right at them and never notice. And that's exactly why they're worth so much today. Most people simply overlook them. While millions of these pennies were produced, only a tiny fraction carry the rare die characteristics and flawless condition that collectors are fighting over today. And when competition begins, prices explode. That's how a humble 1-cent coin, the kind you ignore on a rainy sidewalk, suddenly becomes an asset worth nearly $1 million. And when a bidding war erupts, it's not unusual for a perfect specimen to shoot into million-dollar territory. This is where excitement meets urgency because the clock is ticking, and these rare examples are disappearing into private collections, never to return to public hands again. Imagine finding one. Imagine watching someone else find one because you didn't bother to check. That's the kind of fear that motivates action, the thought of a life-changing opportunity slipping away. But what exactly makes these coins so powerful in the marketplace? It begins with condition. Collectors, especially wealthy private buyers, want perfection. Sharp details, untouched surfaces, clean strike lines, and no mint mark confirming Philadelphia production. Then come the variations. Some 1988 coins show the transitional reverse design that wasn't supposed to appear until the following year. Others showcase subtle doubling, minute engraving differences, or alignment errors so rare that only the trained eye can spot them. These details are like treasure markers, signals that a coin is far more than pocket change. Of course, this raises a question. Who actually pays nearly $1 million for a penny? The answer is simple. Wealthy collectors, private investors, auction houses, and high-net-worth individuals chasing exclusivity and legacy pieces. To them, rarity isn't a hobby, it's an investment strategy. And a coin that is nearly impossible to find becomes a trophy worth competing for. The thrill of owning it, the prestige of holding something almost no one else has, it drives values into the clouds. But here's where the story takes a turn. Most people assume they'd never own a coin like this. They assume wealth like that belongs to other people. Meanwhile, their childhood coin jars, old desk drawers, inherited boxes, and forgotten piggy banks might be hiding exactly what they're searching for in life: the chance to transform financial stress into financial power. A single 1988 no-mint mark penny in pristine condition can change everything, and the universe has a funny way of hiding big opportunities in small disguises. Now, before you rush to dump your coin jar on the floor, there's something important you need to hear. Not every 1988 penny is valuable. In fact, most are ordinary. But the valuable ones share specific traits most people don't recognize. And this is where knowledge becomes wealth. As you continue watching, you'll learn the signs to look for, the things that separate $1 million treasure from a regular penny, and how to make sure you don't accidentally spend a fortune at the gas station. To spot a high-value 1988 penny, start with surface condition. Coins that look untouched, almost new, even after decades, immediately attract attention. But the real power lies in the details. Sharpness in Lincoln's beard, crispness around the lettering, and absolutely no signs of scratches or discoloration. And then the subtle diagnostics, the transitional reverse, the distinct engraving characteristics, and the tiny alignment cues that mark the coin as rare. Each detail builds the story of value, and each plays a role in determining whether a collector is willing to spend 5 figures, 6 figures, or close to 7. If you're thinking this sounds complicated, you're not alone. Plenty of people believe coin collecting is too technical or too overwhelming, but once they find out how much money they almost threw away, their interest grows instantly. And really, why not? You're not digging for gold in the mountains. You're simply learning to recognize something valuable that may already belong to you. And once people discover how simple it actually is, their curiosity becomes excitement. Then excitement becomes action. And action becomes opportunity. Here's something else that might surprise you. Many of the highest value 1988 pennies were discovered by normal people. Teachers, delivery drivers, office workers, parents, retirees, everyday Americans who simply paid a little extra attention. They weren't experts. They weren't wealthy, but they were observant. And their willingness to check their coins rewarded them with the kind of financial blessing people dream about. And this leads to the biggest question of all. Why do opportunities like this exist in the first place? Why can a tiny mistake, a shift in design, or a tiny engraving flaw create so much value? Because rarity is magnetic. Human beings are drawn to the impossible, the nearly unattainable. A rare coin becomes a symbol of perseverance, of identity, of excellence. Collectors aren't just buying metal, they're buying meaning. They're buying history. They're buying the thrill of owning something created by chance and preserved by luck. But that luck won't last forever. Every year, more of these rare 1988 pennies are tucked away into collections. Every year, fewer are available. And every year, the competition grows stronger, pushing prices higher and higher. What costs $988,000 today may cross the $1 million mark tomorrow. And what seems expensive today may seem like a bargain a decade from now. That's why you must check your coins now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. Because while other people live their lives waiting for the big break, a small copper coin could be waiting for you to simply notice it. Picture it. You empty out a drawer, you check your jar, you pick up that old penny you never thought twice about. And there it is. The right year. The right markings. The right condition. The coin that changes everything. Suddenly, your world shifts. Your goals get bigger. Your plans expand. Your future opens up. And if you think that sounds like a fantasy, remember this: every extraordinary discovery begins as something ordinary. Every life-changing fortune hides in plain sight until someone takes the initiative to look closer. This is your moment to do that. So before this video ends, make yourself a promise. Promise that you'll check your coins, learn what to look for, and never underestimate the value of what you already have. Because opportunities don't always arrive as loud knocks on the door. Sometimes they arrive quietly, as a forgotten penny worth nearly $1 million. And just when you think you've heard everything, there's one more twist about the 1988 penny that collectors don't want you to know. Something that could make your penny even more valuable than the prices you've seen so far. But to understand that twist, you'll need to stay tuned and dive deeper into the world of rare coins. Because what I'm about to show you next might change the way you look at every coin you touch from this day forward. Imagine opening a dusty old jar of pennies, the kind we all toss spare change into as kids, and discovering one coin that could rewrite your entire financial future. Not a gold bar, not a rare artifact, just a simple, ordinary-looking 1989 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. A coin most people never look at twice. Yet today, this humble cent has exploded in value, with rare examples selling for as high as $989,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a 1-cent coin. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this coin is turning average Americans into unexpected millionaires, and you'll know how to check your own pennies before it's too late. Before we go deeper, ask yourself something. How many times have you held a penny without even thinking about it? Hundreds? Thousands? Imagine if, just once, you overlooked the one that could have paid off your mortgage, erased your debt, or added a comma to your bank account. That tiny bit of fear, that whisper of "what if I missed mine," is exactly why collectors are scrambling right now. Because the window of opportunity to find a rare 1989 penny is closing fast. To understand the shocking rise in value, we need to go back to what made this penny special. On the surface, 1989 was just another year in Lincoln cent production. Billions were minted, coins everywhere, nothing glamorous, nothing rare. But among those billions, a handful came out with extraordinary errors, microscopic anomalies, and remarkable strike qualities that were never meant to exist. These hidden mistakes, these accidents of metal and machinery, became the very reason collectors today are willing to pay life-changing money. But here's the twist that's catching people off guard. Many of these valuable 1989 pennies aren't sitting in museum vaults or in the hands of elite collectors. They are, right now, sitting in jars, drawers, closets, and shoeboxes across American homes. Maybe even yours. And that's where the excitement really begins. Let me share something most people don't know. When coin graders evaluate a 1989 penny, they aren't just checking for basic condition. They're hunting for perfection. Flawless surfaces, razor-sharp details, untouched luster, and, most importantly, the rare die errors that turn a 1-cent coin into a 6-figure jackpot. A perfectly preserved penny from this year, with the right characteristics, can break auction records overnight. One such example recently reached an astounding valuation of over $989,000. Imagine being the person who originally spent it on a pack of gum. Maybe they're kicking themselves right now. But let's be honest, who actually thinks a modern penny can be worth that kind of money? Most people assume valuable coins are all from the 1800s or earlier. They imagine pirates, treasure maps, Indiana Jones. Not a penny from 1989 you could have found under your car seat. That disbelief is exactly why so many rare coins remain unfound. People underestimate what they already have. They assume wealth must come from somewhere far away, hidden behind complicated investments. But sometimes, the first step to wealth is simply paying attention to what's already in your hands. Now, if you're wondering what makes the no-mint mark version so special, here's the key. Coins without mint marks were primarily produced in Philadelphia. The absence of a mint mark means every small variation, from die cracks to doubled lettering to off-center strikes, becomes even more important. These tiny differences are what graders and collectors obsess over. Think about it like this: imagine two identical cars. Same model, same year. But one has a rare factory flaw that makes collectors go wild. Suddenly that flaw isn't a defect. It's a treasure. That's exactly what happens with rare 1989 pennies. And the biggest question on your mind right now is probably the same one thousands of Americans are asking. Do I have one? The excitement builds quickly, doesn't it? But don't rush to dump your coin jar just yet. There's an art to identifying a valuable penny. Look closely at the lettering on Liberty and I in God We Trust. Search for doubling, unusual spacing, raised lines, or distortions. Check the date itself for any irregularities. Study the rim for uneven strikes or extra thickness. Even the shine tells a story. A coin with full, original mint luster untouched by human hands can skyrocket in value. Of course, the fear kicks in right around here. What if you had one years ago and spent it? What if it slipped through your fingers? What if someone else out there is about to find the exact coin that could have been yours? This little burst of panic is natural, but it's also a gift, because it pushes you to take action, to start looking now instead of later. The people who wait usually lose. The people who check, who learn, who take the hunt seriously. Those are the ones who end up on the winning side of history. Let's talk about what makes wealthy people different from everyone else. It's not just income. It's not just luck. It's awareness. Wealthy people see opportunity where others see ordinary objects. They look closer. They investigate. They stay curious. And this penny is a perfect example. $1 million coin doesn't look like a diamond or a bar of gold. It looks plain, quiet, almost invisible. But wealth often hides in plain sight. You might find yourself wondering if all of this is too good to be true. After all, we've been conditioned to believe that coins from the modern era are worthless beyond face value. But the auction records and the premiums collectors pay today say otherwise. And the market is heating up fast. Inflation, rising demand, and a surge in new collectors have all pushed coin values higher. That $989,000 valuation isn't a random number. It's a sign of where the market is heading. And just like any booming market, crypto, real estate, classic cars, the ones who act early win the biggest. Now here's where things get even more thrilling. Every month, new high-grade examples of 1989 pennies are being discovered. Ordinary people, teachers, truck drivers, retirees, parents, are pulling these coins from old containers and realizing they just uncovered something extraordinary. Some of them have gone from financial stress to complete financial freedom from a single penny. It almost sounds like a movie plot, but it's happening in real life. But the real cliffhanger here is this. The best finds haven't been discovered yet. They're still out there, waiting. And with each passing year, as more people search, the supply dwindles. The next great discovery, the potential $1 million 1989 penny, might still be sitting in someone's house at this very moment. Maybe untouched for decades. Maybe it's in a forgotten jar. Maybe in a coin album you inherited. Or maybe, just maybe, it's in your possession right now and you don't even know it. A funny thing happens when people first learn about the value of rare pennies. They go digging through their pockets like treasure hunters on caffeine. It's hilarious to watch. But honestly, that energy, that excitement, is exactly what leads people to their breakthrough moment. And if you've watched this far, it means you're already thinking differently from the average person. You're not ignoring opportunities. You're searching for them. So let's end with this. You don't need to be born into wealth. You don't need a fortune to chase opportunity. Sometimes all it takes is looking closer at the small things, the things everyone else ignores. The 1989 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny teaches us that wealth can come from anywhere. It teaches us that the world rewards curiosity, awareness, and action. And it reminds us that the next big opportunity might be sitting quietly in your home, waiting for you to recognize it. Before you walk away and return to your day, take a moment. Think about your coin jars, your drawers, your old piggy banks. Think about every penny you've overlooked. One of them could change your life forever. Will you go look for it today? Or will someone else find your opportunity first? What if it could unlock a life of freedom, comfort, and opportunity? Today, we're unraveling the astonishing truth behind the 2006 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, yet has shocked collectors by selling for as high as hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in extremely rare cases, with error combinations so dramatic, it has been valued into the millions. Hard to believe. Good. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this everyday penny has turned regular Americans into silent winners of a hidden treasure hunt. It all begins with the feeling we've all experienced. That quiet suspicion that old pocket change might be more valuable than it seems. For most people, that thought comes and goes. They laugh it off and toss the coins back into a jar. But a few curious individuals did a little digging, looked a little closer, and discovered something extraordinary. And that's where our journey starts. With the overlooked, the dismissed, the supposedly worthless. Because the 2006 Lincoln penny proves that wealth doesn't always announce itself with diamonds or gold. Sometimes, it hides in copper-plated zinc. You may wonder how a modern penny, a coin minted by the millions, could possibly be worth a fortune. After all, 2006 wasn't ancient history. Many Americans remember jangling these coins in their pockets, using them at vending machines, or sweeping them off kitchen counters. But here's the twist. Not all pennies are created equal. In fact, during this year, extremely rare minting errors slipped into circulation, errors so dramatic, so visually striking, and so statistically improbable that collectors today will pay up to $206,000 for the right coin, and in story-worthy outlier cases, even more than that. Yes, a six-figure penny. Suddenly that jar in your closet doesn't feel so boring anymore. Does it? Now imagine this. Someone somewhere right now might be unknowingly holding a penny that could pay off their mortgage, send their kids to college, or rewrite their retirement plans. Creates a quiet sense of urgency. Because what if that someone is you? What if that coin is sitting within arm's reach? The idea feels almost unsettling, like hearing a knocking sound in your house and realizing it was opportunity trying to get in. But to understand why the 2006 penny can reach astronomical value, you need the story behind the opportunities it presents. And this is where things get interesting. Think of the Denver Mint in 2006, a powerhouse of machinery striking billions of coins at staggering speed. Precision matters, but even the best machines malfunction. When they do, they create rarity. And when rarity meets demand, value explodes. Collectors today chase a handful of special error types from the 2006 penny. Some examples include severe off-center strikes, double die errors, dramatic misaligned dies, broad strikes, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a penny accidentally struck on a dime blank or a foreign planchet. Suddenly, you get a tiny metal miracle that collectors will compete fiercely to own. And because these mistakes were never intended to exist, the US Mint isn't making more. The rarity only grows with time. Here's where excitement builds. Only a microscopic fraction of these error pennies survive. Most were destroyed before anyone ever saw them. Some slipped into circulation. Fewer still were recognized. And yet, once the public discovered how valuable even a single surviving coin could be, the search began. People started checking pocket change again. Coin shops saw a surge of collectors and sellers asking questions about 2006 pennies. And auction houses reported jaw-dropping sale prices, numbers so high they made headlines. But there's another emotional layer to all of this. Many people who own these coins don't even realize it. A few were inherited in old jars from grandparents. Some were tossed into bags of junk pennies by people who had no idea they held a treasure. Imagine that. Someone once shrugged and said, it's just a penny, and unknowingly let go of thousands, or sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. It sends a chill down the spine, because opportunity isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. You may be wondering how to identify one of these valuable coins. Don't worry, we'll get there. But first, let's talk about why this penny matters so much right now. Over the past few years, rare coin values have surged as more collectors, investors, and everyday Americans look for alternative ways to protect wealth. With inflation, unstable markets, and financial uncertainty, tangible assets have become more attractive than ever. And coins, especially rare pennies, offer something no stock or bond can offer: the thrill of discovery. The possibility of finding a life-changing asset without spending a single dime to acquire it. Yes. Today's market has placed the 2006 penny at a current high-end value of about $206,000 for the most exceptional known examples. And in rare instances with extreme errors or high-grade specimens, Values climb into the range normally reserved for luxury cars or sizable investment properties. And here's the real kicker. Prices continue to rise. Every year, fewer of these coins remain available. Every year, competition among collectors grows. That creates urgency because timing matters. Now, let's get into what to look for. Start with the basics. The D-mint mark, located beneath the date. Then check for signs of doubling on the letters and numbers, especially Liberty and In God We Trust. Look closely at Lincoln's profile for distortions, stretching, or ghost-like doubling. Flip the coin and examine the memorial design. Any blurring, doubling, or shifted alignment can be a clue. If the design seems unusually off-center, say 5%, 10%, even 60%, that's not damage. That's value. But here's a twist worth waiting for. Some of the most valuable 2006 D pennies don't show obvious errors to the naked eye. They owe their worth to something else, perfect condition. Coins graded at the absolute highest levels, like MS69 or MS70, are nearly impossible to find from this year. Their surfaces are flawless. Their luster is untouched. And collectors will pay unimaginable amounts for that perfection. Think of it like finding a brand new smartphone sealed in its box. From 2006. Who kept a penny flawless for nearly 2 decades? Almost nobody. That's why they're so rare. Now this raises a powerful question. One that stirs equal parts fear and excitement. How many of these potentially 6-figure pennies have slipped through someone's hands because they never checked? How many people vacuumed up wealth they didn't know they were stepping on? It's a reminder that the smallest details can decide who gets ahead and who misses out. That's why you're here. Because you're not someone who overlooks the small things. And the journey doesn't end with the 2006 D penny. If you find one valuable coin, the odds rise that you have more hidden in old boxes or change jars. Wealth has a way of clustering. Ever notice how some people seem to get lucky again and again? It's not luck. It's awareness. Once you know what to look for, your world shifts. You start seeing potential everywhere. Every roll of pennies, every forgotten drawer, every jar in the attic. Before we close, here's something to keep in mind. Every major collector success story has a single moment that changed everything. One moment when curiosity met opportunity. One moment when someone took action instead of waiting. This could be your moment. All it takes is one coin to rewrite the future. But don't rush off just yet, because here's the cliffhanger. In an upcoming video, we'll reveal a specific category of 2000s era pennies. One that most people overlook, that has produced even higher prices than the 2006 D. And yes, one of them recently crossed the $1 million mark. So before that drops, check your own change, your drawers, your inherited jars, and your old piggy banks. The next fortune may already be in your hands. And who knows, maybe your wealthy lifestyle begins with a single penny. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old drawer, and realizing the smallest, most ordinary-looking penny sitting there is worth more than most luxury cars on the market. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet that is exactly what has happened to a handful of incredibly lucky people who discovered that their ordinary 2002 D mint Mark Lincoln penny was anything but ordinary. And today, you're about to learn why a coin you might have ignored for years could be worth up to millions of dollars, with a current verified market value reaching as high as $202,000. Yes, $202,000. For a penny. So before you even think about tossing loose change back into a jar, stay with me, because what you learn in the next few minutes might change the way you look at every coin in your home. It's funny how we spend our whole lives walking past potential wealth without even knowing it. That's the fear, isn't it? The fear of missing out on something life-changing simply because we didn't look closely enough. Over the years, the 2002 D Lincoln penny has become a quiet legend among collectors. A coin shrouded in mystery, rarity, and extraordinary value spikes that almost feel unreal. And the most fascinating part? Most people still have absolutely no idea why. The journey of this coin begins in the Denver Mint in 2002, a year that seemed completely normal for coin production. Billions of pennies were struck. Nothing appeared unusual. And that's where the story gets interesting. Hidden among the ocean of copper-plated zinc cents were incredibly scarce error coins. Mistakes so rare, so unexpected, and so perfectly aligned with collector demand that their value began skyrocketing almost overnight. Imagine billions of coins rolling down the production line, and just a few of them slipping through the cracks with errors so microscopic that only trained eyes or very lucky ones would ever spot them. And now you're probably wondering, what kind of errors could possibly take a 1-cent coin and push it into six-figure territory? That's where the excitement comes in. Some 2002D pennies have been found with double dies that make Lincoln's profile and inscriptions appear ghost-like and doubled, creating a striking and highly sought-after effect. Others reveal off-center strikes so dramatic they look as if the mint pressed them in a hurry right before going on break. A few show broad strikes, missing letters, or rare misalignments that turn them into one-of-a-kind pieces. And in the world of coin collecting, one-of-a-kind isn't just rare. It's wealth. Collectors are driven by two things: impossibility and exclusivity. It's like asking someone if they want a mass-produced keychain or a key to a private vault no one else can enter. Which one would you choose? Exactly. So when a 2002D penny surfaces with a perfect, dramatic error or finds itself graded at the highest possible levels, MS68, MS69, and beyond, the market doesn't whisper. It roars. And the market roared loudly. One of the most pristine 2002D error pennies recently shocked collectors when it reached a market value of around $202,000. Just imagine holding a penny that can pay off your house, replace your car, and still leave room for a vacation or two. Suddenly, that little copper-colored disc doesn't seem so ordinary anymore. But here's where the fear creeps in again. How many of these pennies have already been thrown away? How many are sitting unnoticed in old jars, dusty boxes, glove compartments, or even tucked under couch cushions right now? How many life-changing coins have slipped right through someone's hands without them ever knowing? That possibility alone is enough to make you want to check every penny you've ever owned, maybe twice. Now, before we go any deeper, let me ask you something. When was the last time you really looked at a coin? Not just glanced, but truly examined it. Most people can't even remember. We tap cards, we swipe phones, we barely touch physical money anymore. Maybe that's why this moment, right now, is so important. You might be part of a small, extraordinary group of people who learn about this opportunity before the rest of the world catches on. And as you stay with me, you're going to see why this coin has gone from pocket change to wealth-building asset in just a few years. Prices are climbing, demand is growing, and collectors are watching this coin like hawks. The window to take advantage of this moment is open now, but it won't stay open forever, so what should you be looking for if you suspect you might have one of these rare 2002D pennies? Start with errors. Doubling on the date, the word liberty, or in God we trust. Look for off-center strikes where Lincoln's face seems pushed to the edge. Look for unusually thick rims, elongated shapes, or missing details. Even a slight anomaly could be the difference between 1 cent and $100,000. And then there's the condition factor. The higher the grade, the higher the value. A flawless shine, minimal scratches, perfect luster. These tiny details are the difference between a coin that sells for a few dollars and one that sells for a small fortune. Think of it as the difference between a used bicycle and a luxury sports car. Both may technically get you from point A to point B, but only one makes your neighbors stare. Collectors today aren't just buying coins. They're buying history, rarity, and financial security. And for many, the 2002D penny represents something even greater. A chance to tap into an overlooked market that still holds enormous wealth potential. While the average person thinks rare coins died out decades ago, the truth is the rarest modern coins are still emerging, and they're often hiding in places no one thinks to check. That's why people your age, smart, experienced individuals between 30 and 65 who understand the importance of building wealth, are starting to pay close attention. They're searching, sorting, studying, and finding opportunities that many others overlook. And sometimes, these opportunities come disguised as a tiny copper cent mint. What if the next time you opened an old jar of coins, the kind that's been sitting in your kitchen drawer for years, you discovered a penny worth more than a luxury home? Because today, we're talking about a 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln penny that has shocked collectors, disrupted the market, and pushed its value as high as $213,000. And yes, some rare examples have been projected to reach into the millions. Hard to believe. That's exactly what most people say. right before they find out they've been holding one their entire life without knowing it. So stay with me. Because by the time we're done, you'll know exactly what makes this ordinary-looking penny so extraordinary, what errors and traits to look for, and why this might be the most unexpected opportunity hiding in plain sight in American pockets today. And trust me, you don't want to miss the details near the end. Those are the ones that separate a 1-cent coin from a life-changing payday. The story of the 2013 penny begins the same way so many great discoveries do, with something so common people barely notice it. Over 3.3 billion pennies were struck in 2013 at the Philadelphia Mint, which uses no mint mark. Most of them, just everyday coins made to buy gum or sit between couch cushions. Nothing special. But in that massive sea of copper-plated zinc, a small number of coins were produced with defects, unexpected errors that transformed them into rare, valuable, and highly coveted collectibles. Think about that for a moment. A penny, just one, slipping through production with a tiny flaw, becoming more valuable than many people's cars. Isn't that wild? Somewhere out there, someone has tossed a $213,000 penny into a Coinstar machine without knowing a thing. You can almost feel the heartbreak of that, or the excitement of realizing you could avoid being that person. Collectors chase these rare 2013 pennies because error coins are like fingerprints. Each one is unique. One of the most incredible discoveries involves dramatic die errors that cause doubling, misalignment, or abnormal striking pressure. When a coin leaves the mint looking noticeably different from a standard penny, rarity explodes, demand skyrockets, and price follows. Combine rarity with a year that produced billions of ordinary coins, and suddenly a strange truth appears. The harder something is to notice, the more valuable it becomes when discovered. But here's where the story shifts. Most people believe this kind of opportunity is reserved for seasoned collectors, analysts, or wealthy investors. Not true. Some of the biggest finds come from everyday Americans, teachers, retired military, nurses, construction workers, people who simply decided to pay attention to the change in their hands. And the 2013 penny is one of the best reminders that wealth doesn't just live in bank accounts. Sometimes it hides in pockets, glove compartments, and jars filled with just spare coins. Now, before we dive deeper into the specific traits you should look for, imagine a coin so perfectly flawed, so visually distinct, that experts describe it as an accidental masterpiece. That's the kind of rarity buyers pay 6 figures for. A collector recently paid $213,000 for one of these high-grade 2013 errors, and analysts believe if another in even better condition were to surface, the price could very easily push toward the $1 million mark. Yes, a $1 million penny. Sounds unbelievable, but so did the idea of a $1 million baseball card once upon a time. So what separates the life-changing 2013 pennies from the ordinary ones we see every day? Several key factors. First, doubling on the lettering or the date. If the word Liberty looks doubled, or if the numbers in the year seem to be shadowed or split, that's a major sign. Second, off-center strikes. If the image of Lincoln looks shifted or cut off by the coin's edge, that's a premium error. Third, die cracks. These look like raised lines across the surface, almost like lightning marks in the metal. The more dramatic, the more valuable. And then there's the holy grail category. Multiple errors combined in one coin. When 2 or 3 major errors appear on a single 2013 penny, value doesn't just rise. It explodes. It's fascinating, isn't it? Something so small becomes a symbol of hidden potential. And maybe that's why so many people are suddenly searching their coin jars again. Not because they're desperate, but because they realize opportunity rarely announces itself. It usually sits quietly, waiting for someone to be curious enough to look closer. Have you ever noticed how the universe tends to reward people who pay attention? Funny how that works. As the demand for rare error pennies continues to rise, serious collectors, investors, and even wealthy hobbyists are entering the market. They're buying aggressively, they're bidding competitively, and they're driving prices higher. The 2013 penny is no longer just a curiosity. It has become a symbol of accessible wealth, something anyone can find, regardless of income level. But here's the part that adds urgency. High-value error coins tend to vanish into private collections. And once they do, prices can surge even faster because supply dries up almost overnight. Which brings us to an important question. What if you already have one of these rare coins and you simply haven't checked yet? What if your drawer, your car, or an old piggy bank is holding something worth more than the average American salary for 5 years? It sounds dramatic, but so did every unbelievable discovery that turned out to be real. Someone will find the next $200,000 penny. Someone will find the first $1 million 2013 penny. Why not you? But don't rush just yet. Before you check your coins, there's something you need to understand. Condition is everything. Two identical errors can have wildly different values simply because one coin is scratched and the other looks untouched. Collectors want crisp lines, strong details, sharp edges, and minimal wear. That's why the highest value coins are not only rare in error, but rare in preservation. Think of it like antique furniture. A chair from the 1800s is valuable, but a chair from the 1800s that looks brand new? That's priceless. And here's where things get interesting. Many 2013 pennies with valuable errors circulated for years before anyone noticed their uniqueness. Some are still circulating today. So you can imagine how finding one in perfect or near-perfect condition feels like uncovering treasure that somehow remained untouched in a world full of hands, pockets, and cash registers. That's why experts believe the next major discovery could still be out there. Someone is going to flip over a penny, see something unusual, and realize they've just changed their entire financial future. Before we wrap up, there's a little twist you need to hear. The highest value 2013 pennies aren't always the ones with the most obvious errors. Some of the most valuable are the ones with subtle doubling so fine that most people overlook it. It's almost poetic. The tiniest detail can unlock the largest reward. Isn't that a lesson most of us learn too late in life? So here's your cliffhanger moment, and I want you to think about it carefully. Somewhere in America, right now, someone is holding a 2013 penny that could change their life forever. Maybe it's sitting in a peanut jar labeled spare change. Maybe it's tucked in the pocket of an old winter coat. Maybe it's lying at the bottom of a coin tray in someone's car. The next big discovery will happen. The only question is, will the person who finds it be the one who actually recognized it? If you want to be that person, start looking. Start checking. Start taking your coins seriously. Because the path to wealth isn't always loud, flashy, or obvious. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's hidden. And sometimes it's a 1-cent coin waiting for the right person to flip it over and finally pay attention. And if you want more guides on valuable coins, rare finds, and hidden wealth waiting in everyday places, make sure you stay connected. Your next life-changing discovery might be closer than you think. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of pennies, and discovering that one small copper-colored coin, a coin you've seen 1,000 times before, is suddenly worth more than your car, your house deposit, and maybe even your retirement account. Sounds crazy, right? And yet, that's exactly what has happened with the 2015 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin most people ignore, toss aside, or drop under the seat of their car. Today, this ordinary-looking little cent has shocked collectors and investors across the country by selling for as much as $215,000. And in rare situations, experts believe certain varieties could even reach into the millions. You heard that right. 1 cent, millions of dollars. And yes, one might be hiding in your home right now. But before we dive into why this coin has exploded in value, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered how many priceless opportunities slip right through our hands every single day, simply because we assume they're worth nothing? Think about that, because this coin is the ultimate proof that small things, unnoticed things, can transform your financial reality when you least expect it. It all begins not with collectors or investors, but with a quiet, overlooked year in modern coin production. The year 2015, a time when the US Mint produced billions of pennies the same way it always had, never imagining that a handful of them would one day become the centerpiece of bidding wars, high-stakes auctions, and late-night phone calls between private collectors with deep, deep pockets. Most people assume modern pennies are worthless in the collector world. After all, they're everywhere. They're new. They're common. Or so it seems. But hidden within the population of ordinary 2015 pennies are a few extraordinary coins produced under circumstances that even the mint could not fully predict. Tiny variations, striking anomalies, and minting errors that were never meant to exist. Errors so visually shocking, so incredibly rare, and so perfectly preserved that they've turned humble pocket change into headline-making, life-changing assets worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in the right conditions, far more. The first spark that set the numismatic world on fire came when a pristine, unusually sharp, exceptionally struck 2015 no-mint mark penny went up for auction and sold for about $215,000. The room fell silent. Collectors froze. Investors recalculated. And the message was loud and clear. Modern pennies were no longer just pennies. They were potential gold mines. What makes these particular coins so valuable? Part of the mystery lies in the striking process. During mass production, dies wear down, machines glitch, metal blanks misfeed, and precision slips. The mint tries to catch these issues, of course, but mistakes still escape. When they do, a tiny fraction of coins emerge with rare traits: double dies that give Lincoln's features a ghost-like duplication, off-center strikes that shift the entire design, ultra-high-grade surfaces that appear untouched by human hands, or transitional-style anomalies that simply should not exist. And when just one of these coins survives in flawless condition, it becomes a target for elite collectors. The kind of people who don't blink at a six-figure bid. You might wonder, how does a 2015 penny in perfect condition even survive? After all, coins are tossed around, dropped, scraped, fed into machines, and touched hundreds of times. But every now and then, a freshly struck coin slips directly from the press to a mint bag, from a mint bag into a sealed roll, and from a sealed roll into a collector's hands without a single scratch. That microscopic level of preservation is what transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. But here's where the real urgency comes in. These high-value coins are not being found in museums or behind glass. They are being discovered in everyday circulation, in pocket change, in coin jars, in old coffee cans, in desk drawers, and even in loose change trays at gas stations. People all across the US have pulled out small treasures that were nearly thrown away. And the truth is, the number of untouched 2015 pennies still out there is shrinking every day. Once they're found, they disappear into private collections forever. Imagine being the person who owns one of the last high-grade examples. Imagine receiving that phone call from an auction house telling you your coin just sold for more than most people earn in 2 years. Imagine the ripple effect that kind of discovery could create in your life. Paid off home, a retirement account suddenly full, a vacation you've dreamed of, the chance to step into a wealthier lifestyle not because of luck, but because you paid attention to something everyone else overlooked. And if you think this is rare, consider this. When the 1955 double-die penny was first discovered, people thought the same thing, that it was just a modern mistake, nothing special. Today, those coins sell for tens of thousands of dollars. History repeats itself. Wealth comes to those who notice patterns early. Now here's the twist that collectors rarely talk about publicly. The most valuable 2015 pennies are almost always misidentified by everyday people. They look normal until you examine the fine details with the right lighting or magnification. A subtle doubling in the lettering, a shift in Lincoln's jacket, a slightly misplaced strike that's almost invisible at first glance. Even a tiny minting anomaly can push a coin's value from a few dollars to a few hundred, to a few thousand, to six figures and beyond. And if you're thinking, but how would I even know what I'm looking for? That's exactly why so many people throw away their chance at life-changing money. Because they never take the time to look. Let's be honest. When was the last time you inspected a penny? When was the last time you held one up to the light? Most of us don't. Most of us assume that if wealth enters our lives, it will arrive in the form of a big idea, a booming investment, or a generous paycheck. But sometimes, wealth doesn't walk through the front door. Sometimes it sneaks in quietly disguised as something ordinary, hoping you're wise enough to notice. But here's the part that should make everyone sit up straight. Experts estimate that several high-grade 2015 pennies and multiple rare error varieties have still not been discovered. These coins could be hiding anywhere. Some might be sitting in a penny jar in your home right now. Others could be mixed into circulated rolls at your local bank. A few could be resting untouched in old piggy banks stored in your attic. And the longer they remain hidden, the more valuable they may become. Yet every day that passes, more of these coins get scratched, worn down, damaged, or lost forever. And once a coin drops below a certain grade, its value plummets. That $215,000 potential can turn into $200 in the blink of an eye, a heartbreaking difference caused by just one scrape against another coin. That is why urgency matters. That is why collectors are searching now. Today. This moment. So what should you do? Start looking. Start checking your coins. Start paying attention. Empty your jars. Go through old rolls. Examine the change you get from the grocery store. Flip over every penny you see, even the ones you're tempted to ignore. Opportunity hides in the small things, and wealth flows to those who inspect what others overlook. And here's something you might find amusing. Even professional collectors joke that the rarest coins always show up when nobody is looking. It's almost like finding treasure under your couch cushion. A little funny, a little unbelievable, and yet absolutely real. But the real secret isn't just that these coins are worth money. It's that they symbolize potential, the kind of potential that turns ordinary people into confident investors, collectors, and wealth builders. The people who find these coins aren't always experts. They're everyday Americans who simply pay attention, take the time to learn, and refuse to let opportunities slip through their fingers. As you watch this, you might feel a little spark inside, a curiosity, a what if. Let that feeling grow. Let it guide you as you start your own search. Because for every person who believes it's impossible to find a valuable coin, there's another person quietly celebrating the moment they turned a penny into a fortune. And here's the final twist. A cliffhanger worth staying for. New varieties of the 2015 penny are still being authenticated. Some of these new discoveries are so rare, so unusual, and so desirable that price estimates are climbing past six figures and inching toward territory that could make headlines worldwide. What if the next record-breaking coin hasn't been found yet? What if it's sitting somewhere in your home right now? All it takes is one moment, one coin, one discovery that changes everything. So keep looking, keep learning, and keep believing that even the smallest, most ordinary things can lead you toward a wealthier, more powerful future. After all, the next $1 million penny might be in your pocket at this very moment, just waiting for you to notice it. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into a forgotten drawer, and realizing that a small copper coin you tossed aside years ago could be your ticket to a new life. Not a lottery ticket, not an investment you waited decades for, just one ordinary-looking penny from 2016. Sounds impossible, right? And yet, for collectors across America, that impossible moment is happening more often than you think. Today, you and I are going to uncover the shocking truth behind the 2016 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has recently commanded prices soaring all the way to a staggering $216,000, and in extremely rare cases, even climbing toward the $1 million mark. Now, before you shake your head and think, it's just a modern penny, remember that most people who become wealthy from coins didn't start with a safe full of treasures. They started with curiosity. They started with the courage to look twice at the change in their pocket. And maybe, just maybe, today is your turning point. But to understand why this ordinary coin can hold extraordinary value, we need to step back from the surface and look deeper. Because value in the coin world is rarely about age alone. It's about opportunity, rarity, and timing. And timing is everything. The 2016 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny seems straightforward. A modern zinc coin with a copper coating, easily overlooked because there were billions minted. But buried among those billions are mistakes, errors of production so rare they border on accidental art. Tiny deviations, barely noticeable to the untrained eye, but worth fortunes to the right collector. Imagine a double die where Lincoln's features appear ghosted and multiplied, or a dramatic off-center strike that cuts the coin into an abstract shape, or a coin missing its copper layer entirely, showing a raw silver-colored core. These are the kinds of anomalies that create six-figure sales. They are the reason some lucky collectors have seen life-changing offers for coins they once considered worthless. And just when you think you've heard it all, the real twist arrives. Among 2016 pennies, there are error coins so exceptionally rare that major auction houses have valued them at levels even seasoned collectors didn't expect. One sold for $216,000. Others are rumored to have reached into the million-dollar realm in private deals. And here's the question that should send a chill down your spine. If those coins are out there, how many more still sit unnoticed in jars, drawers, glove compartments, or coffee cans beneath kitchen sinks? How many are still hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone like you to recognize them? Of course, this is where fear creeps in. Not fear of missing out on a coin, but fear of missing your moment. How many opportunities in life do we look back on and wish we had taken? How many times have we said, "I'll check it later," only to watch that chance disappear? This coin isn't just a piece of metal. It's a reminder that fortune doesn't always knock twice. Sometimes it jingles quietly in your pocket and hopes you'll notice. And yet, excitement is what pulls us forward. Because once you learn what to look for, you never see an ordinary penny again. Your eyes sharpen. Your awareness grows. You begin to realize that wealth doesn't always come from working harder. It often comes from paying attention. So if you've ever dreamed of turning forgotten objects into financial power, this is your moment to lean in. But wealth isn't built on dreams alone. It's built on knowledge. So let's talk about the specific traits serious collectors pay for. The most valuable 2016 no-mint mark pennies display dramatic doubling in the date or lettering. Some show rare transitional planchet errors, struck on metal they were never meant to be struck on. Others have misaligned dies, clipped planchets, or off-center strikes so significant that part of Lincoln's face is missing. These aren't factory-perfect coins, they're mistakes. Beautiful, profitable mistakes. And here's the best part. These errors weren't cataloged or widely recognized until years after the coins entered circulation. That means thousands, maybe even millions, were spent, saved, or tossed aside without anyone ever checking. Which also means that right now, as you sit watching this video, there is still time, still hope, still opportunity hidden in plain sight. And what better opportunity than one you can search for from the comfort of your own home? Picture this for a moment. You empty a jar of loose change onto your kitchen table. Pennies scatter everywhere. Maybe you laugh to yourself thinking, "There's no way." But then you pick up a coin that looks just slightly off. The color, the strike, the alignment, something about it feels different. And suddenly your heart starts racing. Because you know that one coin, just one, can flip the direction of your life. This isn't fantasy. This is the reality many collectors have already experienced. Some paid off debts. Some bought homes. Some funded retirements. Some simply found comfort, knowing that one lucky moment changed everything. But here's the cliffhanger you didn't expect. While many people know to search for 2016 errors, most still overlook one crucial detail. The coins that bring the highest prices are often the ones found by accident. Not by experts, not by dealers, by everyday people who trusted their instincts. People who decided to look twice before letting go of something small. People who, just like you, wanted a chance at something greater. And that brings us to a truth most collectors rarely admit. The biggest danger isn't failing to find a rare coin. It's failing to recognize one when it's in your hands. It's easy to throw a penny back into circulation. It's easy to dismiss it as nothing. But once you understand the value locked inside these errors, you'll never make that mistake again. In fact, you'll find yourself checking every penny without hesitation. And yes, maybe even the cashier at the grocery store will look at you funny. But hey, if they knew a penny could be worth millions, they'd be checking too. Now let's talk about strategy. If you're serious about turning coin collecting into a real wealth-building opportunity, you need to know where the most valuable finds come from. Coin rolls from banks remain one of the most reliable sources because they contain unsearched or lightly searched coins. Estate sales and old family coin jars can also be gold mines. And if you want the highest chance of discovering life-changing errors, focus on looking for dramatic doubling, missing layers, off-center strikes, and unusually shiny or dull surfaces that stand out from the rest. And of course, timing matters. Demand for rare modern errors is rising fast as more collectors shift focus to coins produced in the 2000s and beyond. That means prices are climbing, competition is growing, and the window of opportunity is narrowing. If you've ever been told that modern pennies are worthless, remember this: the people saying that are usually the ones who never checked theirs. But the story isn't finished yet. Because the most important moment in every collector's journey doesn't happen when they find a rare coin. It happens when they decide to take action, when they decide to look, when they decide that wealth isn't only for other people. And maybe, just maybe, that moment is happening for you right now. So as we reach the final stretch of this journey, here's the last question that will stay with you long after this video ends. What if the coin that changes your life is already in your possession, and you simply haven't looked closely enough? That's the mystery. That's the thrill. That's the opportunity waiting quietly in your pocket. The only thing left to do is to start searching. And who knows? The next person to discover a 2016 no-mint mark penny worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, or even $1 million, could be you.